So the first thing we'll always do is look at strength level. Do they have should we say, a sufficient level of strength? If they haven't, won't worry about power training at all. Go straight into developing their strength. If they have, that's where they come into this strength and power diagnostics, where we do a range of tests to try and figure out what the best method is to use, or what's the best variable within that kind of strength and power continuum to look at, whether it's lower body power, whether it's reactivity, whatever the variable could be. And we try and use this battery of tests to identify where I wouldn't say weaknesses, but where we're going to get the best development.
Okay, so are you taking strength based off the kind of raw numbers of force in isometric terms? Or
not always. Yeah, okay. Usually yes.
What else are you adding?
You can use things like your back 3RM back squat and your deadlift, whatever traditional lifts that sport would use. If they've got really good historical data, we can look at that as well. But if we're going in ourselves to test, we will look at holistically all the different variables we've got, but we will tend to go off our isometric mid-thigh pull data.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. And so, is that then looking at the functional ability to be able to execute some strength-based training too? So isometric mid-thigh pull is one action, but can you safely perform a squat, deadlift, the essentials to be able to entrain the movements? But are you tending to sort of go towards sort of form and stability first before you start developing the strength?
Again, you would always do that, but I'm quite lucky in the fact the level of athlete I work with, and the level of practitioners that are within those sports. I wouldn't say taken as a given. They're always, very good form. If they have any, injury history, those exercises would have been adapted over the years anyway. So you might get a group of athletes who just don't squat for whatever reason. They'll then obviously, trap bar deadlift or something of that nature. So a lot of that has already been done for us in terms of how we would program going forward. And again, we would give advice and direction of what needs to be developed. I'm not a practitioner. The practitioners will then take that forward in a 4, 6, and 8 week block of training, whatever that would look like. We would give them the direction and certainly have a really good conversation with them around it, but the specifics of exercise selection would a lot of time come down to the practitioners, the environment, and their knowledge of the player.
Yeah, okay. So you're then looking for some benchmarks for people to reach a certain level of strength before you then start to phase in power-based training. Is that what I'm sensing for you?
Yes and no. You can have a threshold, you can have an idea in mind, but a lot of the time what we'll do and what we'll suggest is if we think it's a weakness, or if we think there's an area for improvement, we'll ask them to go into a block of